in 10 years' time, it's going to be so difficult stopping what I'm doing and then seeing the players that I was playing with, and they're now professionals. That's literally why one of the reasons I cried, because my whole life I've been working towards this thing and I have to say no to it. The only varsity that would have worked for me, and we can talk about it a bit later, was Wits. I had to get to Wits because it set up everything else that would happen in my life. So
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Kinsani and I bring you faith, education, wisdom, and lifestyle content. Gift said I look marvelous, and I do. Thank you. So today I have a special guest, Zawadi Dlamini. Zawadi is an admitted attorney who has an LLM degree in private law, i.e. sports law, from the University of Pretoria, and a LLB degree, which he graduated cum laude from the University of the Witwatersrand. Zawadi completed his articles at a big law firm and was appointed as a senior associate thereafter. He currently works as a legal counsel for the Motsepe Group, and he advises various entities in the group, which includes Mamelodi Sundowns Football Club. Throughout high school and university, Zawadi was a student athlete, and following his matric year at Michaelhouse, he pursued a career in professional football. Having suffered a setback of not realizing his initial dream of becoming a professional athlete in his final year of university, Zawadi decided to combine his passion for sports and the law and embarked on a journey which would later see him become, amongst others, a sports lawyer. Welcome, Zawadi.
thank you for having me. Wow, that was really good. I
It's
should
really
get to
good.
do my autobiography.
No, you wrote
Yeah,
this, I
I
think.
know, but the way you read it was like, yeah, you
Really,
sold it.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
so
having me.
much. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about yourself from a non-professional point of
Yeah.
view. Who is Zawadi?
Yeah. So look, I was born in Swaziland, right? So I was born in Swaziland. I grew up in Swaziland, and I think when I was about 6 or 7, we moved this side. Then we grew up in KZN. I was predominantly raised by my mom. So I went to school there. Went to primary school there. Went to high school there, and then yeah, sort of after matric, you kind of have to figure out what you're gonna do with your life, right? And growing up, I've always wanted to be. I mean, obviously you referenced it there, but I've always wanted to be a professional athlete. That was like my thing.
Sure.
Like if you told me that I was gonna I've told the story so many times, but if you told me that I was gonna be in an office job, I was gonna be a lawyer
Sure.
when I was younger, like I would have told you you're crazy. It's not gonna happen. And I wanted to. That was like my passion. I wanted to play professional soccer, and like I trained pretty much my whole life to do it. And then the plan was after matric was to basically, get into football, right? And I tried to pursue that. And yeah, look, obviously for God has his plans and his ways and stuff. So that didn't quite work out for me. And then obviously at the time I was studying law, and yeah, it's something we can get into a bit later. But basically, I try to combine the two, and now I'm a sports lawyer.
Interesting. Interesting. That's such an interesting journey. Also, I think you're right that God has a way of working things out in our favor.
Yeah.
You might not be a football player, but you are within sports law, right? What influenced your decision to study law?
Like I said, I was in high school and like just growing up, I wasn't like the smartest kid. I wasn't dumb either. Like I wasn't like, like I wasn't.
What? You graduated cum laude.
But I'm telling you, there's a build up to this because like growing up, I wasn't like the smartest guy. I mean, I went to school. I was obviously taught the importance of education. But for me, it was like my passion, and you would understand it when you're young. Like, and there's some people who maybe in the entertainment and music industry and they can maybe relate to the story. And some people want to be like artists and musicians. I said how I felt about playing professional soccer. So I wanted to do that from a very, very young age. And that's what I wanted to do. Obviously, you have to go to school. I went to high school, and when I was there, I would obviously do, your academic curriculum during the day. And then afterwards, you have your sports that you play. And I played for a football club. And I was like that guy. I was like academics and sports, but I wanted to just be a professional athlete. And then you get to matric, right? And then grade 11 matric, and then you have to make a choice. And it kind of hits you, right? Because I was probably, my situation is a bit unique because when you go to school, not a lot of people want to play sports or be in the entertainment industry. I wanted to do that. So all my other friends that I went to school with, they saying, okay, no, we're going to go study. We're going to go to this top university. I want to be a CEO and this and this and this and this. And you kind of get that pressure, right?
Yes,
Everybody's
true.
going to these top universities and they're applying and they get accepted in grade 11. I applied. And I'm telling you, I applied and I got rejections. Bang, 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 bang. I was getting rejections. I'm not going to say the varsity's names, but I was getting rejections. And then the one university I applied to, and again, the reason why I applied there is because they did like a presentation at our school. You know, obviously say come to university and this is why you should come. And I applied there because they gave us a brochure, and then the brochure has all these qualifications and all these degrees you can study. The only degree that I could like recognize was an LLB degree.
Okay.
Honestly, like it was like BSc this and what, all these complicated things. And I'm like, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I had taken like history and drama. So like I did a lot of like essay writing and I could read and write, obviously. But the only thing that I kind of understood from that brochure was LLB. Okay, I know what that is. It's a law degree. Okay, let me just apply for this.
Wow.
That's literally how I applied. And like I said, I applied to these different varsities and they, in grade 11, I think they rejected me. And then with Wits, I have to say it because that's where obviously I went there, so I'll say their name. They gave me provisional acceptance.
What?
So it wasn't even like at the get-go you accepted. It was like,
Crazy.
nah, okay, show us your final marks. We're not sure yet, right? Yeah. So, and that was a big wake-up call. You can imagine, you're sitting there like matric. All the varsities have kind of said no. Your friends have like a plan of what they're doing with their lives. And I'm like, jeepers, man, is this life? Like, is this what's happening? And sitting there, and I had pretty much like 6 months to figure everything out. And obviously they were going to look at my final marks, which was my final exam. And from that day on, I was just like, look, I've just got to get this. I've got to get things together. And so I pushed myself to try and get good marks for my final exam in matric. And fortunately, by the grace of God, you know, I got decent marks. Again, not like amazing. It was just like, okay, cool, a lot better than it was before. And then I got accepted to study law at Wits. What's crazy about this is at the same time, because I told you about my passion for football, is I wasn't going to give that up, right? So at that time, I had been playing for the provincial team, right? Okay. Soccer provincial team. And we came to Joburg for a tour. And I was playing, one of the scouts from an academy in Joburg saw me. And he said, look, we really like you, man. You know, come for a trial and, you know, we'll see how it goes. So I went for a trial and they took me, the academy, and then they said, okay, come. Basically, this was post-matric, so 2013 would have been the year after I graduated. And they said, come join us in Joburg in 2013 and then you'll play for us. But I was still waiting on, because I didn't know what varsity was going to take me at that time. I remember I told you I just got like provisional acceptance. So I don't know. So, okay, I've got this academy that's taken me. And then Wits accepted me. And the crazy thing about that is the academy and Wits are literally next to each other. They're down the road, right? So that was a really big God moment. And like I said, all the no's you get was like very difficult. But then the one that I got was the one I should have got. Like the football there and then Wits and everything kind of worked together. And then that kind of started the journey of my university journey. And
almost
so
like,
that's basically how I got into law. Wow. It was like, okay, I've got to study something. What is it? I understand what a law degree is. I know what LLB is. I've heard it before. People have mentioned it. Okay, let me try this. Wow. And that's how I got into it.
Feels like destiny, right? And also not really ruling over people. Like the provisional acceptance was just like, we see potential. And maybe sometimes we shouldn't dismiss these kind of things, because look at you, you graduated cum laude. So top of your class after you were almost not accepted at this university.
It's crazy, but like that's for me, that's again like it's God. Sure. That can only be God, because like I said, all those people said no, and then the one that I should have gotten to, at least looking back in hindsight, the only varsity that would have worked for me, and we can talk about it a bit later, was Wits. I had to get to Wits because it set up everything else that would happen in my life. So it was definitely a God moment.
Wow, inspiring. When do you discover sports law? Is it adverts, or you discover this once you're in practice?
Okay. So 2013 is my first year, right?
Okay.
I know nothing about law. Again, I'm full on, I'm going to be a professional athlete. I'm going to school, varsity, because it's important, right? And what really helped me, and it's not something that I had in my control, it was, again, I think just the way God did things, is my first year, I just met very good people who were smarter than me. Those are my friendship circle. I don't know how they got around me or anything, but it's just, I gravitated towards those people, and I found myself with people who were just really, really smart. And I remember saying, there is no way that I'm going to be the dumbest person in this friendship group. I refuse. Like, so they were top, like overachievers, right? And I was like, okay, I'm gonna cling on to these guys. And they just like kind of pushed me. And then I was like, okay, we'd get our exam marks and then we'd like study together. And then they were like just pushing. And while I'm doing that, I'm also on the other side trying to push my football. So during the day, I'm at varsity from like, I don't know, 8 till 4 with different obviously subjects. And then after that at 4 o'clock, I'm training in the afternoon with the football side. So I'm like living these two lives, right? And I did that for about 3 years. And in my third year, what happened was you have to make the choice now, right?
Yes.
You have to choose. Am I going to be a professional athlete or am I going to be a lawyer? Again, one of the pressures you get in varsity, in law school, is having to apply for the big firms. There's a lot of pressure. You're not going to be successful if you don't get accepted by a big firm, which is not true, by the way, right?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of that. And I'm obviously with the really smart people and they're like applying to firms and I'm like the only guy. I'm just like, oh,
It's happening
it's
again.
happening again. It's happening again.
Yeah.
So anyway, what happened with my football was I was a goalkeeper at the time. And one of the things that's really important for a goalkeeper is to be tall. I'm not a short guy, but one of the prerequisites of being like a top keeper and to play like internationally and to be the best and to play in the World Cup and you know all these guys, one of the things you have to be very tall. So like, you have to be like 6'2" plus. That's minimum. I'm like 5'7" on a good day.
Okay.
On a good day,
Yeah.
which is 170 centimeters, something like that. But you have got to be like 188. So I'm not there. So it's something that always dawned on me, like, how am I going to do this thing? Like I have the talent, but I don't like the height and all these different things that you have to have that I can't control. It's just not really working for me. And I got to a point where like the coach was telling me that, listen, you know, my dream was always to be able to do something at the highest level, whatever it is. At that time, it was football. So I wanted to be, and it's just ambitious, it's who I am. I wanted to be like the best goalkeeper that I can possibly be. So play in the World Cup, play internationally, be that guy. That's what I wanted for my life. You know, it is what it is. And I couldn't do that because of things I couldn't control, like my height, for example. And if I continued this way, I could have played professional, but not as high as I wanted to. So it was a very difficult moment. I think it was one of the first difficult like decisions I've ever made in my life. I literally cried like over it.
Sure.
It was horrible. And what happened was I had to stop because, you know, the career path and where I wanted to, it was just, it dawned on me that it's not going to happen the way I wanted it to happen. And for a while, I was very, very sad. But fortunately, I was studying law. And a friend of mine said, you know, Zawadi, have you ever thought about sports law? Up until that point, I didn't know what it was.
Sure.
And I was like, what is that? Right. And I just sort of got like really interested in the idea. I did my research and I found out there's actually like a field. There's an entire like industry of sports law. I was like, wait a minute, you know what? Let me try to do something. You know, it doesn't have to be completely over. Like I can try and combine these two things. So I didn't know about sports law until like my fourth year when I had to stop playing. So yeah.
Okay, sure. Interesting. Always fascinating. That I think this will just bring me to one of the questions that I had, and was because you're so passionate about this, and I think it
Yeah.
was a difficult decision to make. And like you said, I think one of the reasons why you could not become a professional athlete was there were certain qualities or factors that impacted that were outside of your control.
Yeah.
And these are natural given features like your height and for example, etc. And I'm just wondering, do you ever feel a sense of disappointment or sadness when you're providing services, considering that you actually wanted to be the person who is getting this advice, or somebody? Yeah, basically,
Yeah.
I think that's my question. Yeah.
That's such a good question because that's literally why one of the reasons I cried, because my whole life I've been working towards this thing and I have to say no to it, right? And you can imagine when you're passionate about something and then you can't do it anymore. And then I thought about myself and I was like, in 10 years' time, it's going to be so difficult stopping what I'm doing and then seeing the players that I was playing with and they're now professionals and I'm sitting and I'm watching them play. Like, how am I going to feel about that? So it was very, very, very difficult. But I don't know how. It wasn't so bad, actually. Now that I'm here and even going through the process, and I think it's an acceptance thing. When you look back in your life, even in that moment and you reconcile everything and how it's happened,
Yeah.
you've done your best in something, it just didn't work. So I was able to, by the grace of God, accept it and there's like no regrets about it. So, and it's just a different world that I'm in. I'm still part of the same world, but it's a different kind of role that I'm playing. So yeah, by the grace of God, there's no regrets or anything like that. And I still do it with like the same level of passion and enjoyment. So yeah.
Awesome, because I can only imagine for me, I mean, there would be a level of bitterness if I wanted
Yeah.
something and I can't have it. And then now I'm here being like, okay, it's fine. I can make it, I can make things happen in the background. I don't have to be the star. Can always make things happen in the background. What sort of matters would you advise on or are advising upon as a sports lawyer?
Right. So, look, a lot of because where we're working, a lot of stuff is quite confidential. But something that's quite exciting that we recently did, and again, it's a personal story. It might be not very exciting for other people, but for me and how my life is kind of lined up, it was very exciting for me. So it's a personal story. One of the things I wanted to do, as I said, growing up, was to play professional sport, and one of my dreams was to play in the FIFA World Cup. Okay, that was, I gotta do this. Zawadi, come on. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't matter. And I set like different ambitious, crazy targets that I look back and I'm like, Zawadi, what are you thinking? But that's kind of, I said, one of the things I said is like, okay, I want to play in the 2014 World Cup. That's something I want to do. Whether South Africa qualifies or not, I don't care. Like, I just gotta be there, right?
Yes.
That didn't happen. I was like, okay, cool. Let's try again. 2018, that happened in Russia. I tried it, because I was still playing professional. I was trying to be a professional athlete. I was like, let me try and make the national team so I can go to Russia in 2018. Didn't happen. I was like, oh, okay. The next one is in Qatar, 2022. So now I'm like scraping like under the barrel kind of thing. I'm just like pushing everything forward. 22 also didn't happen. And I was like, oh, okay, you know what? So let me just try to be a bit more realistic. And I didn't kind of give up on that dream. But things kind of happened. And long story short, I'm obviously at Motsepe Group now. And one of the things I do is I advise Sundowns. So we qualified for the Club World Cup, right? Recently now.
Yes.
And I got to go with the team.
Wow.
By the grace of God, one of the beautiful things I get to do is travel with the team and obviously advise the team and everything and be part of the operations. So that was one of the things I was able to do. And I was like, oh my goodness, like all these deferred dreams, all these like, I'll call them rejections or failures and stuff. Like God kind of doesn't really forget it. And then it happened. So that was one of the things that you get to do. It's all like sports law orientated. So there's like FIFA regulations. There's, we advise the club. There's employee disputes, all kinds of stuff. But what makes it interesting for me is because it's in an industry that you're passionate about. And that helps. That helps me.
That means you understand the technicalities as well. I mean, there are certain things that you wouldn't understand if you never played any football or were never an athlete, right?
Yeah.
So if a dispute arises and you understand certain terms, you've seen it physically, because I think that is very important within our work space to understand some of, and that's why I think when it comes to lawyers where you don't have any background in a certain field, you always get an expert.
Yes.
For us in mining and enviro is if I read what's on paper, I wouldn't know how that looks like in the environment. then you'd get an expert. But you are somebody who actually carries the package in the sense that you understand what happens on the field. You've experienced what being in the field is like.
Yeah.
And by the time you advise, you sort of have a complete picture of what to provide to your client.
Exactly. Like, you know, the little bits and pieces, like the operations
Yes.
that somebody who doesn't have like maybe a sports background wouldn't know, right?
Yes,
This other thing about being a lawyer is varsity teaches you how to read and write. The other part of it is just like the experience and learning the operations of your client and knowing like the daily challenges of your client. So you're 100% right. That part kind of maybe set me apart a little bit. But like I said, that comes after many, many failures and many no's and everything. So,
yes.
but yeah.
But we see how I think for you, all things work together for your good. Everything has literally worked together for your good. But so everything has worked together for your good. I do also have a similar journey.
Yes.
It's just that a little bit different. I always insisted, I knew from varsity what I wanted to do.
Okay.
I knew I wanted to be in mining. I knew I wanted to be in environmental law. I was like, I am not accepting anything except for articles within this field.
Yes.
And that meant I got a lot of rejections. So I would go to interviews. Firms are doing data privacy, they're doing labor, and they're just like, but you're not passionate about this. And I think sometimes you go to an interview and you sit and you think people cannot tell whether you're interested in something, but it shows,
Yes.
right? So from the interviews, I would say if there was a mining department, this is where I would like to go.
Yes.
They'd be like, you're great at interviewing, but we're really worried that you might not enjoy the law we kind of deal with. And at some point I just said, you know what? I'm willing to come and to sort of
Intern.
intern for some time. You don't have to pay me. I just need to know what you guys do and look at that. When I was busy interning, going through the DRABUS pages, I saw a firm advertising for environmental. We do development planning and environmental. I was like, this is me. I applied. I went to that interview, Zawadi. I sat there. The first interview, I sat with a partner. He was just talking to me. There was no questions. It was just a conversation. Where are you from? I'm from Bushbuck Ridge. Where are you from in Bushbuck? I'm from Tulamahashi. It's like, oh, we have so many matters there. So it wasn't an interview of, oh, are you interested in this? It was just smooth conversation. And he knew I had it. And I was like, I know Enviro. I can tell you some of the stuff that I've learned at school. Wow. While it wouldn't be the same if I had gone into insolvency or intellectual property, for example. And then after that, stayed within the environmental development planning at this law firm. Still not doing much of mining, but I was like, I know what I want. Eventually, I'm here, you know? And even then, you can see just how perfectly God needs, like he puts together stuff so perfectly so that you are able to become the best version of yourself wherever you're going.
Yes. I absolutely love that. Like, those stories are crazy. And one thing, I don't want to romanticize like where we are and everything.
Yes.
Because when it's happening and you're getting that no, that it's painful. It's painful. It's so painful because you don't know where you're gonna go. You don't know what you're doing. Other people are getting yeses and you're getting no. But in hindsight, like you said, like you don't need everybody to say yes. You need just one.
So good.
You don't need everybody to say yes to you. You just need one, and it's perfect.
Love that. Many no's, one yes changes your life. That's so good. Thank you for that. If a law student wanted to pursue a similar path, wanted to be a sports lawyer, what advice would you give them, knowing what you know now?
Yeah. So the sucky thing about where I am now is that it actually isn't like a straightforward career path, which is why I kind of face so many challenges and so many like, you know, I had to pivot and kind of create my own path. So, for example, you know, the traditional corporate route, if you want to be a lawyer, corporate, whatever, is you do your go to law school, get your LLB, BCom or BA law, whatever it is, get your qualification, and then you do your articles, right? And then your articles, you kind of choose what firm and everything like that. It's a little bit different, like when you want to go into sports. I think for me, what helped was you got to have an interest in it, right? You just, because that's what's going to push you through the nose, right? You're going to just have a passion for it. get your LLB degree. That's obviously very important. Or your law degree, BCompA, it doesn't matter. And then the tricky part is now when you do your articles, who do you do your articles with? Do you do your articles with a firm that does sports law, or do you do your articles with a firm that's going to give you a broad range of just legal knowledge? I did it with a firm that gave me a broad range of legal knowledge, and I went into labor, right? And it was a little bit strategic because I went into this law firm, and then I got retained in the labor department. I could have gone to M&A, but I remember the M&A thing would have just killed my sports dream, because labor is closer with like football, like because you're dealing with the athletes, right? A lot of employment related issues, right? Exactly, contracts. So that's what I did. And then fortunately with me was the partner who I was in the labor team with, their client was the company I'm at now, and Sundowns, right? So, but obviously that was a very unique situation for me. Not everybody might have that. But the point I'm making is, I think what you want to do is the labor part helped me because it's employment. Like I'm doing employment. A lot of the stuff is employment, like with the athletes and, like I said, the club. It's employment related stuff. And then if you can, try specialize, right? So do like some sort of, in addition to just having a legal degree. So the master's also helped me because it shows people that, okay, you are serious. You know, everybody wants to be a professional athlete. Imagine if I went into an interview and I said, I wanted to be a professional athlete and I'm interested in sports, blah, blah, blah. So now hire me. Everybody wants to be, you know what I mean? So that kind of set me apart a little bit. So I did that extra step of getting the master in sports law. It can be, you know, there's different ways. I got it at UP. It's a really great place to do it. There's different places you can get it, right? So that's what I would do if you want to get into like the sports part. And then after that, you can choose now you're going to go into a law firm or you're going to work for like a sports body. There's so many sports bodies in the country. There's Cricket South Africa, there's SARU, there's, you know, SAFA, there's in the football clubs, there's the swimming Olympics, whatever. So there's it's an entirely big world, right, that you can get into. It just depends what you're passionate in. So that's what I would do. It's the law degree, very important. Try set yourself apart with like a master's or something or a special qualification. And then get yourself into articles that gives you like a broader perspective of the legal, sort of industry. Because even what we do is we're in-house, so I don't just do sports alone. Like I'll get random instructions for property and this. I'm like, guys, I'm not a property lawyer. Like, what the heck? So I gotta like just dance, but I get to also do sports.
Admin is still a big part, I assume. Admin law.
Yes.
Still a big part of what you do.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, and you just need like a general knowledge of the law, and then you specialize. I think that's what I did.
Interesting when you're sharing about this. I'm thinking that I personally never really think there's lawyers behind Orlando Pirates. You know, it's just entertainment. It's soccer. You know, you don't think there's all of these people working behind even regulations. I didn't know though FIFA regulations.
They have lawyers.
I didn't know that.
Everything under the sun is regulated. That's how you got to see it. Yeah. Everybody, you know. Sure. I had this very stupid dream. I was like, one day, you know, I'll get to represent Beyonce. Stupid, like, but I was like, the way you think about it is like, those people need lawyers. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, all these artists, if they need lawyers, there's an entirely big world out there that's not necessarily publicized. You just got to dig it a little bit.
And we must just be able to sort of share or to bring to knowledge or to make people aware of what's available out there. Because I think most of us in our years when we studied, I didn't really, I just, insolvency, okay, it's commercial law. Everyone spoke about commercial law, corporate law, commercial law, but there was nothing else. I think the only other aspect that would be highlighted here and there was human rights law. But otherwise, it was just these two worlds, and there was never anything like intellectual property is actually a big thing. You know?
Intellectual, that's the other thing. If you want to get into entertainment and sports, intellectual property, I would actually go do a master's in intellectual property because 70% of basically what we do is IP related. Like our sponsorship agreements, you know, the group also has like a company that does entertainment. So contracts with your artists, for example.
Oh,
And if you want to
yes.
go that route as well, like if you want to maybe be somebody's manager, like an artist manager, I think it's very important to do something in IP
Interesting.
because that's really what it is.
Oh, wow, great. I have a question. Would you recommend that students pursue passion or skills in finding work they love?
This is a tough one. And I want to be completely honest with this question because we obviously live in a world where you have to support yourself, right? And money is a thing. And sometimes passion doesn't necessarily translate to being able to like look after yourself and provide for your family and everything like that. If you have a skill in something, what I always say is this: if you have a skill in something, right, try tap into that. Ask yourself, why am I good at this thing? And if you can, try make a career into that. That's what I will do, and I think you'll be fine. If you have a passion in something, right, try turn your passion into a skill, and that just requires dedication, resilience, hard work. And we're born with different things. Everybody has different cards, right? So if you have a passion, just you've got to make that passion a skill, and you'll be okay.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. I was actually reading a book about whether skill trumps passion in finding work you love. And he advocates that it's better to get skill and then pursue passion. And I thought, what an interesting question for you, who has to navigate both these desires, right? And again, you've been able to bring that together in full circle. Yeah.
Try combine them if you can as well. Yeah. No, but that's a good. I've heard that before as well. And it's great advice. Yeah.
What do you think has been your greatest achievement in your academic journey and your journey as a professional?
Passing matric.
Yes.
That was thank you,
Yes.
Jesus.
Yes.
My greatest achievement was I think it was just getting through just based on my own personal story. It was getting through varsity. Varsity is very difficult to navigate because after matric, people think you should know. And I'll be completely honest, I did not know. Like you go into varsity and people tell you what you should be studying, how your life's meant to be looking as a lawyer, and you must be applying for articles and this and that and that. So getting through that and being able to, by the grace of God, get like good marks and kind of set like a foundation for yourself. I think that was probably something I'm really proud of because it's with that foundation, anything is possible. And I share that because I want that to resonate with people who are maybe facing a similar thing in their law school because that's really where it starts. If you can set up that foundation, everything can kind of work out.
Awesome. Thank you. On a lighter note, so much more lighter questions. Hopefully they are lighter because they might not be light. What's your favorite book and maybe a current book you're reading?
Current book. Again, I'll be honest, right? I'm going to be honest. I used to read a lot when I was younger, right? I read so much. And then ever since I went to the law degree, the last thing you want to do is read. And this is just me. Really? We're all different. The last thing I want to do is read. Sure. I read so much every day. Like somebody's bringing me something I got to read and then blah, blah, blah. The last thing I want to do is read. But what I did enjoy when I was reading was like autobiographies. So I read like Trevor Noah's, I read Robert Marawa's. I like those. I like Robert autobiographies. But what I like to do, like relaxing, and again, this is just me, is just like watching something really nice, like a good series, a nice movie, phones down, nobody disturb me. I like that. I like that.
So, all right. Would you recommend the Robert Marau book?
Yes, I would. I also recommend Trevor's book. Those guys.
Born a Crime?
Yes. Okay. He's a legend. I mean, that last Trevor.
Yes. I loved that book. I also enjoyed it. If you were to run the country, what's the one thing you would prioritize to improve? You are the president of South Africa.
You're electing me. Is this democratic? Am I a president or a dictator?
A dictator.
Am I a dictator? All right.
Yes.
Sure. Okay. I would, if I was a dictator of the country, no, I would one thing that I look inward. So one thing that I would like to see and I would do, and I think it can help not only me, but just the country in general, is make education more practical. So at school, people need to know why they're at school. Like practically, why am I at school and how is this going to help me? And try to make like codified career paths for people so they can see it, man. They can see how they can navigate things and how they're going to get there, you know, instead of just teaching them like maths and teaching them these things. It's like, so I would literally make educational more practical.
Awesome.
That's what I would do.
Love it. And then I think my last question
Yes.
to you, Zawadi, is what's next?
What's next? I'm just going to take this moment to say this. By the grace of God, from a professional point of view, I have a dream job for me. I'm working in something that I've always wanted to work and do. So I want to be present in the moment and say, thank you, God. Like, I'm very, very grateful and I love what I'm doing. What comes next now, it's honestly in God's hands. But I'm just going to continue applying myself and see what we do. But like, I have a dream job. So that's what I would say about that right now.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Zawadi.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure to have you on our YouTube channel and our podcast. And guys, that brings us to an end to my conversation with Zawadi. It was insightful. It was beautiful. I hope you are inspired too. If you are interested in being a professional athlete and you have any setbacks, whichever they are, to pursue any other form of work within the sports or the professional sports, what's the word?
Industry,
Industry, perfect. Yes, industry, please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and share.
Thank you.
Bye.